There are such personality as there are many Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami. Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed these pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. Srila Bhakti Thakur ki jai. Srila Bhagavata Mahamahotsav ki jai. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Namaste Gauravani Shri Marutaye Vijatarine Bhagavata Vinod Apasiddhanta Nirvanakarine Namo Gangre Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Sabhoke Bala Puja Varite Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Bhakti Shakti Swarupaya
ಚಿಕ್ಕದು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಎರಡನೇದು
Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagatnatha Vipre Namaha Panchakalpa
ಬೇಡ Hare Krishna. Welcome you all on this morning celebrating the Disciples Day of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, which is very important Acharya in our Dharma Sampradaya. Therefore, the Lord is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared.
And he gave such nice teachings for those 48 years. But by effect of time, by the desire of the Lord, as it does happen several times, so all these teachings were more or less lost only. Not only the teachings, but also the place of Lord Gauranga, that is Navadvip Dham, was also more or less completely submerged or gone because Ganges was going so many times here and there, changing her course. And all the pastime lessons of Lord Gauranga were more or less unknown to rest of the world because for few hundred years, or not 200 years, water from the Ganges completely inundated the whole area of Navadvip, and nothing was remaining in one sense. But it was the Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is that pioneer. He again revived the not only cult of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but also his places, the teachings, everything he revived. Had it not been for him, he would not be here.
These floods and all that. Then also there were 13 Apasampradayas. That means Sampradaya, so to say, but not originating from Krishna or rather distorting the message that Lord Krishna had given. In there are 13 Apasampradayas like Aula, Baula, Karta Bhaja, Gauranga Nagari, Neda, Darvesha, Sani, Sahajiya, Sakibeki, Smarta, Jata Gosai, Ativadi, and Chodadhari. And so these are all different. Gauranga Nagari treat Gaurang Mahaprabhu like Krishna and saying that he's after women. Though in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, there was not a single moment when he misbehaved with any woman, nor did he even joke with any woman. Once in life, he joked only with his wife. That is also so indirect that one can hardly understand what kind of joke was that. Like once Sachimata was searching in the house, something was not visible. She was searching here, searching there, searching there. So Mahaprabhu observed that. And then he said, maybe mother, your daughter-in-law has taken that. So Mataji are laughing because I think they don't know this is the joke. So they are laughing. Others who don't know that this is the only joke, they won't be able to laugh. So only Vishnu Priya inside the house, she was inside the room. She smiled, she laughed that my husband is cracking joke on me. This is only one joke in Mahaprabhu's life on his wife. This is allowed for husband. And that is also with mother. She is inside the house. But then these people say that Gaurang Mahaprabhu was like that. So like that, so many other Apasampradaya. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur came and he revived the whole thing. Not only that, he also predicted that the commander-in-chief of Lord Chaitanya's army will soon appear, and then he will travel all over the globe unrestrictedly to preach the cult of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how could some sincere preacher also travel unrestrictedly all over the globe? Not easy in those days. This he made comment somewhere in 1800, 1993, like that. So in those days, there are no planes. So there is no question of traveling unrestrictedly because then you have to go by boat only. Because in between so many oceans are there. And the boat is not so fast also. It is quite slow also. So planes had to be invented because Bhaktivinoda Thakur made the comment like this, statement like this. So Lord Krishna gave right intelligence to right brothers. And then they got idea, hum bhi udenge, we'll also fly, because they saw birds flying. So they got idea and several attempts, ultimately planes came up. In 1903 or so, it seems, the planes were invented, I mean, the first plane kind of, and then slowly upgradation happened. And then we have the modern jet planes, quite fast, quite good. But otherwise, those days were not so good. But by the time Prabhupada in 1966, you could say, because 65 he did not go by plane, but 66 when he first flew from Los Angeles to San Francisco, the first air ticket for Prabhupada. So by that time, the planes were up to date, to mark very nicely. So this is because Bhaktivinoda Thakur made comment like that, because he knew. And several other comments also he made, that Adbhuta Mandir Hoibe Yaha, that statement, that huge temple will come up. So TOVP, Temple of Vedic Planetarium, is also predicted by Mahaprabhu in one sense, Nityam Prabhu, but also eventually Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When nothing was existing, Bhaktivinoda Thakur could see that. So that is the contribution of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and we have his Pranati mantra. You can repeat after me. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Vigrahaya Namostute. So he says, Namo Bhakti Vinodaya. I offer my obeisances to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Satchidananda Namine. His another name is Satchidananda. Why? Because he wrote one book, Satchidananda Premalankar, in glories of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So ever since that, he was given the title of Satchidananda. So his another name is also Satchidananda. Earlier childhood name was Kedarnath Datta. So Satchidananda Namine. Gaura Shakti Swarupaya. His Swarup of what? Gaura Shakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's potency was awarded to him by Mahaprabhu only. He is Kamal Manjari in Golok Vrindavan Dham. Krishna is assisted, served by Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is assisted by Ashtasakis, and Ashtasakis are assisted by the Manjaris, small girls of around 6 years old. So one of them is Kamal Manjari, and Kamal Manjari came in the form of Thakur Srila Bhakti Vinod. So Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate is a follower of Rupa Goswami. We are all followers of Rupa Goswami, but Bhakti Vinod Thakur was truly a follower of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Nuga Varayate is the best among all the Rupa Nugas also. So we'll see something about his life. A lot of things are available about him, though he was there quite before. But once, when his son, he had 13 sons. One of them, third one, Lalita Prasad. So he had asked that, Father, could you please tell me about your life? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote only all the details ever since his birth till that point. So there are 300 plus points, and some of them are quite elaborate. So it is having some name also, Swajivana Likhani. He's about his own life, biography kind, autobiography, up to that point. So he writes all that and gives to his son Lalita Prasad. And that's how also we know, and many other people also have written about him. So we have, this book is there, the seventh Goswami. How many of you read? Brajavilas Prabhu, an ISKCON devotee, has written. It's a nice book. You can read it. Very nicely he has presented that. So we'll see something of his life also. In fact, Shishir Kumar Ghosh, if I'm not, he has made that comment that when I see the life of Thakur Bhaktivinoda, I'm only reminded of six Goswamis. So he says, Shishir Kumar Ghosh, who was there from 1840 to 1911, he was the editor and founder of Amrita Bazar Patrika. And in his letter to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes, I have not seen the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, but I consider you to be the 7th Goswami. That's how the title of this book also is, the 7th Goswami. His life was exactly according to 6 Goswamis only, who were there 500 years back around. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur was of the recent origin. Recent means not very recent also, but he appeared in this world in 1838. So we can say some 300-400 years later to Goswamis, but still his lifestyle was exactly like the Shad Goswami, 6 Goswamis, and he would hardly sleep 2-3 hours only in the night. So we'll see something about his life, as I heard from His Holiness Prabodhanand Saraswati Swami Maharaj, and it is also matching with this book. So he appeared near Mayapur Dham. In the village of Bir Nagar, that is Ulagram, on 2nd September 1938. It was Sunday, Shravan Shukla Trayodashi. He was the third son of Anand Chandra Datta and Jagat Mohini Devi. They say that he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. So that means aristocracy, a lot of wealth was there with parents. But eventually that wealth was all gone. In his youthful days, it was very miserable youth. And the name, childhood name was Kedarnath, Lord Shiva's name. So he was given the name Kedarnath, and their family was Datta family. So he was Kedarnath Datta. Some say that he appeared in the house of his mama, maternal uncle. When he was born, he was not a very beautiful looking child. Rather, they say ugly looking. So some relatives, relatives how they are. Oh, So ugly child like that. So mother heard the comment, Jagat Mohini Devi. She said, oh, no problem. He will serve his other brothers as their servant like that. So mother knew this is not some ordinary child. When he was hardly 2 years old, he wrote the first rhyme. Spoke like that. That his father had gone somewhere and he saw one crow sitting on a tree branch like that. So then he said, I don't know Bangla, but he said, oh, my dear crow, please move aside. Father is coming like that. So that was heard by some maid servant and she was surprised how he is speaking. I wish I could have it. It is there in this book. I don't get it now. So it's in Bangla. Very nice. Just 2 lines only. And that also gave indication as to father would be soon arriving. So prediction also is there in that very rhyme only. He was always standing first in his classroom. He was very intelligent boy. Also, he would be very scientific in his approach in every field of life. Like when chicken hatches out of the egg, he would be observing very carefully what is happening, how that phenomenon is happening. And also how the insects take birth, that also he would watch very carefully. Great souls, their symptoms are seen quite from early stages of their life. They say in Hindi that बच्चों के पाँव पालने में दिखते हैं. Right in the cradle only, the children's feet can be seen. And children's feet can be seen means his future predictions can be made. That way, every child feet are seen in cradle, but not that. In future, what he would be doing. He would be hearing the stories of Lord Ram and Lord Krishna from the gatekeeper of his house. And that's what attracted him to Ram and Krishna. He wanted to eat jamuns. Jamun, I don't know what you call in English. Dhruva? Plum. Okay, plum. That brown, not brown, dark blue or blackish colored, this much fruit. Inside there is a big seed also. So that one he wanted to eat, but then it was backside somewhere and somebody scared him saying that there is some ghost there on the tree. So he was a small child. He was scared of that ghost. But then the desire was also there. Then there was one maid servant who told him that if you take the holy name of Lord Ram, all the ghosts will be gone. So then he was very happy. Then he chanted Ram, 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 and he went to and he plucked out some jamuns and he ate them with relish. So that way, childhood, such nice background was also there. He has written more than over a period of time. He wrote hundreds of poems. Sharanagati is the collection of many such poems. He wrote more than 100 books also. We'll see in this book, the list is there. When he became around 11 years old, he wrote a book of poems on Mother Chandi. That was called Ula Chandi Mahatmya. Just 11 years old. How many children at that age would be able to write? And this is collection of poems in the form of book, and that is Ula Chandi Mahatmya. He was married at the age of 12 only to the girl who was only 5 years old. In those days, early marriages would take place. So he was only 12 years old and that girl was 5 years old. Eventually, she left body with the 2 sons, 2 children. But then he married second time, Bhagavati Devi, and then he had several more children. Total 13 children he had. In 1856, when he was around 18 years old, he wrote a book on the character of King Puru, who fought with Alexander. You might have heard in the history. In India, there was one king. So he wrote one poem on that also. When he was a child, I don't know the age, but when he was playing cricket, the bat hit his eyebrow very severely. There was bleeding and all that. And that was the end of his cricket career. The end. Yeah. Krishna doesn't want his devotees to just play cricket like that. He had higher duties to do. And then eventually, I'm not telling in sequence necessarily, some things here and there, as Maharaj was telling. When he was sitting at the lotus feet of their lordship, Shri Radha Madhav, in Choti Mangalpur, that is in Odisha, he wrote the famous song, Jai Radha Madhav, that we sing before Bhagavatam class. Prabhupada said, all ISKCON temples before Bhagavatam class. Bhagavatam class will be definitely there in the morning. Before Bhagavatam class, there has to be Jai Radha Madhav song. That is by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Afternoon, we have Rajbhog Arti. What is the beginning? Yashomati Nandana, Brajabaro Nagara. That is given by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Evening we have Gaur Arti, given by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So you can see how morning, afternoon, evening, Prabhupada has introduced us with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. How important is that Acharya for all of us? When he saw that there was exploitation of the poor children, he opened a school for them and he became the headmaster. And also training was required for how to teach and all that. So he went to a place and learned a teacher's training course, how a teacher should teach. Now in ISKCON, we have officially formally teacher's training course 1, teacher's training course 2, Bhakti Shastri teacher's training course. So many teacher's training courses, but our first founder Acharya only, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he only underwent that and on his own, of his own initiative, so that he could teach very nicely. In Bhadrak, there is one Bhadrak High School. I had been there few years back. So there he was the headmaster, first person. It is name also is there, Kedarnath Datta. I forgot the year, 1861 to 63 or whatever that is there. He, in order to get Chaitanya Charitamrit whole, they say that he had to wait for some 8 years or so, several years. He was not getting. Now it is so easy for us. How many of you have Chaitanya Charitamrit set at home? Yeah, most of the devotees have. Those who don't have, the book distribution department can note down and approach them. So Chaitanya Charitamrit, he had to wait so long, searching. But then he got, and he read it also. As he got Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrit copy, he started reading Chaitanya Charitamrit first. He read it completely and got convinced about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lordship, that he is the Supreme Lord. He read it again and felt the need to spread Chaitanya Vani all over the world. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that I felt anurag, that great attachment to that book. In 1866, he got simultaneously offer of 3 jobs in the government. He was so much liked by all, even British also. So much they were fighting. Sometimes the British officers would fight over having him as the deputy magistrate in their area. So much in demand. So our devotees, we can see through Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he shows how devotees are not just expert in spiritual life, but even materially they are so expert that even materialists will applaud that really devotees are amazing. What other judges would take long time, 2 hours, one case or so. He would do it in 5 minutes only. So in first 3 hours, 10 to 1, and then next 3 hours, 2 to 5. Those were his job hours. So several hundred cases would sort out very easily. 5 minutes, max, he would do it, and some 2 or 3 minutes to write it down. What is the judgment and all that. That's why he was very much wanted by everyone. In 1868, he got the post of deputy magistrate in Dinajpur by one British in the British area. He already was always showing the symptoms of liberated soul. So very amazing personality. In 1868 only, he wrote Sachidananda Prema Lankar, that is Bengali poem on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's glories. And because of this only, he got the title Sachidananda. People started calling him by the title Sachidananda. Then he wrote that year, I'm not sure, maybe in 1871, when he was in Puri, he was deputed there. So when he went there to the sea beach where there is Samadhi of Thakur Haridas Thakur, so he got very much touched by the lifestyle of Srila Haridas Thakur, and he wrote a poem of 10 stanzas, of which 9 stanza is very famous. He reasons ill, who says Vaishnavas die, for thou art living still in sound. Vaishnavas died to live, and while living, spread the holy name around. So this is in glorification of Haridas Thakur by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So this is very special because he says when a particular devotee leaves body, especially one who has been sincerely practicing, preaching, so he reasons ill. That person is reasoning ill who says Vaishnavas die. Vaishnavas don't die, or thou art living still in sound. Vaishnavas in Vani Seva, Vani Roop, they are always there. They live to spread the holy name around. They die also, and then also holy name is spread by them. So like that, glories of the Vaishnavas, in particular Haridas Thakur, he wrote. When he was posted in Puri, then he came to know that there are a lot of malpractices going on, especially in Jagannath temple. And he was surprised. How? But Kali Yuga is like that only. And then the king only was after all of them. He was transferring the money. He had transferred lot of money of Lord Jagannath on his account, king's account. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to set it right. So he was very intelligent. Now, if you ask the king for money, generally once one gets money, it's very difficult to give it out. No one will not give so easily. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur did a very nice plan. He said, you need to sponsor Chappan Bhog of Jagannath. He did not tell him give that all money back. He said, you sponsor. So he said, okay, fine. So he sponsored. Then every day he has to sponsor. Keep sponsoring. So much Chappan Bhog, lot of money is required. And over a period of time, lot of money went. And that person became alarmed. My God, this fellow is very, he must have thought cunning. And he's taking all that money which I had exploited. So then he arranged even one yagya, fire sacrifice inside the palace without the knowledge of others. And he wanted to put ahuti, and with the last ahuti, Bhaktivinoda Thakur will die. But then when he put that, the last ahuti, oblations, then what happened? His own son only died. And he was shocked. What is this? Bhaktivinoda Thakur was, then he understood Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not some ordinary person. I cannot do like this with a pure devotee of the Lord. Lord did not tolerate this kind of misbehavior. So there were several tantrics also in Puri and around area. 3 tantrics in particular. Tantric, what is the English word? Tantric only. Mystics. Mystics is still better people. Tantric is black magic magicians. Okay. So one of them was claiming to be Mahavishnu, other was claiming to be Brahma, and certainly third one claiming himself to be Shiva, Mahesh. So that Brahma was staying near Khurda road, the junction is there. So he was staying there. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur exposed them all. And Mahavishnu was behind the bars. He was in jail like that. And there was also one Bishak Sen. This story you might have heard. So this fellow was claiming himself to be Vishnu only. And he has appeared, Lord has incarnated for the sake of uprooting the British Samrajya Empire from India. So British were very scared. My God, that this fellow will... And he had a lot of powers. He would produce ash and cure people of their diseases. Many things he would be able to do. Then finding no other way, they gave the case to Thakur Bhaktivinoda that you handle him and get him arrested if you could. Any police constables would go near to that person. He had so many powers, they would all run away. They would not be able to approach him only. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur had full conviction that he is a fake person, that is not according to scriptures. So he has to be exposed. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur went alone. The constables were there, they were behind. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur went and talked to him. And as he came, immediately that Bishak Sen said, "Oh, Thakur Bhaktivinoda, Kedarnath Babu, I know you because you are my eternal devotee. I'm your eternal Lord. How will Lord not do his devotee?" So certainly he had the mystic powers by which he knew what the person next is and all that. But that was all fake. And then he says, so then Thakur Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that you please, come with us. He told the police constable, catch him. He said, "Arey Bhaktivinoda, how can you do? You are my devotee. How can a devotee do like this to the Lord?" So then Bhaktivinoda also, he is also very intelligent. He said, "No, Lord should oblige by the desire of pure devotee." Like that. They played for some time, but then that person was very angry. So ultimately he was caught also because he knew that he can easily escape. Bhaktivinoda will not be able to do much. That's what was his understanding. So then he was put in the jail and the court case went on. And while court case was going on, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur had lot of difficulties because that person was tantric. They know black art, that black magic. So then in that, his daughter became severely sick. She was almost on the deathbed. And Bhagavati Devi, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife, was quite concerned. She said, "Please release that fellow, otherwise our daughter may have to depart." And then some other children also fell sick. Mother was quite concerned, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, "Nothing doing. I will not leave him. He is bogus. He has to be exposed. He has to be imprisoned." Then ultimately, towards the end, last day almost, but then Bhaktivinoda Thakur got severe chest pain. So much so he was paralyzed only, not able to walk also properly. In that condition also, he arranged one palanquin. He sat in that and he went to the court and he gave the judgment. Some 18 months of imprisonment or something like that, or 18 something. So then This fellow was very powerful tantric, and he would do a lot of mischief even in the jail also. So what was done then? One British officer, it seems, he understood. He had read some books that the power of yogis is in their hair. So he got a big scissor. That fellow had long matted hair. He went and just cut off his hair only. As soon as his hair were cut off, all his powers which were stored there, he was powerless then. Then he became very much like a small kid only, powerless. And in one such time only, after a few days, he drank poison and committed suicide in the jail only. And that was the end of Bishak Sen. In 1874, Bhaktivinoda Thakur got his fourth son, whose name was Bimla Prasad, who is none other than His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was personally trained by Thakur Bhaktivinoda because in his humility, he felt that the way the world is going, so much of materialism, for that atheism and Mayavad, I alone cannot do this. That was his humility. He felt so. Just like Advaita Acharya felt in his humility to set right the situation of Navadvip and whole world. I am not alone could do it. Lord only has to come. So similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur felt, and he prayed to Lord Jagannath very sincerely that please send a ray of Vishnu who could assist me in my mission of removing all this atheism, materialism, etc. And as a result only, Bimla Prasad was born because he was received by the blessings of Bimla Devi, who is there in Jagannath premises only, temple premises. She is the first one who gets prasadam. Simantini Devi, Parvati Devi, who had performed a lot of austerities in Simantadvi. So he was named as Bimla Prasad, and he was born with the umbilical cord around his body, torso, wrapped like a uppa with that Janevu. So then that was clear, and just he was 6 months old or so when there was Ratha Yatra. So that time his mother, that is Bhagavati Devi, had taken him on the cha and a cart, and that time the Jagannath's garland fell around his neck only, and everybody was very happy. So that was clear to Bhaktivinoda Thakur that this is the son whom Lord has sent, the ray of Vishnu, for my further propagation of Krishna consciousness. So then he trained Bimla Prasad from the childhood only. When Bimla Prasad was only 11 years old, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had taught him everything of printing press. That, as Prabhupada says, book distribution is our family business, or printing press, Brahad Mridanga. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had only taught little Bimla Prasad. So 11-year-old, he knew everything of how to operate that printing press, how to print, how to do overhauling, and if the screw falls down or something, everything he knew, A to Z of that printing press. That's how Bhaktivinoda Thakur eventually established 64 Gaudiya Mats, and in 4 of them prominently there were printing presses right in the temple premises only. So much so, how many of you seen Gaudiya Sampradaya, Gaudiya Mat logo? How many of you have seen? Only 1, 2, 3, 4. Gaudiya Mat logo, if you see, it's a very big, and in that there are many sections. So in one of them, printing press machine is also there. Very revolutionary Acharya. So he learned it from his father only. Bhaktivinoda Thakur taught him right from childhood. Bhaktivinoda Thakur as such had taken initiation from Bipin Bihari in 1880. But then for some reason or the other, there were some differences, especially as per the birthplace of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there was some differences of opinion. And when Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was called, taken by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then it was clear that current Yogpit, where we all go, Mahaprabhu's birthplace, that is the place as directed by Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur accepted Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj as his Shiksha Guru, though he was given Diksha by some other, Bipin Bihari, but he got Shiksha from Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, and ours is Shiksha line. That's it. Similarly, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Diksha Guru is not Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but Shiksha. So ours is Shiksha line. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur is considered the Shiksha disciple of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. In 1881, there were a band of dacoits in Kanjahar area, Kanjaharas in Vrindavan. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, by his efforts, by his powers, he arranged these dacoits to be removed. They were all driven out from there. In 1881 only, he got Bhakti Bhavan in Calcutta for spreading Krishna consciousness. And he wrote 130 Sanskrit verses of Amnaya Sutra in 1881 only. In 1887, in Tarakeshwar, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was sleeping in night, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to him in a dream and asked him, "What have you decided about my dham, Navadvip? You have your plan to settle in Vrindavan, but do something about Navadvip." Because sometime before this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had written that song, Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Koti, that song of Vrindavan, holy places. Govardhana Parvata Jamuna Tira. So many holy places of Vrindavan. When he went to Vrindavan, he was charmed by the beauty of Vrindavan, holy place, Krishna's pastime. So he wrote very nice song. So much so in that song only he writes, Ye sab chodata kahin nahi jao, ye sab chodata parana harao, Radha kunda tata kunja kutir. Ye sab chodata kahin nahi jao. Leaving Radha Kund area, I will not go anywhere. Ye sab chodata parana harao. I will give up my life only if I have to go out of this place. Just like in Navadip, we have Swananda Sukhat Kunj. Similarly, we have near Radha Kund. How many have visited? Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house near Radha Kund in Vrindavan. Yeah. So when you are going towards Lalita Kund, much before that only, as you come out of Radha Kund area, you have to go little behind, slightly, and then straight. Then there is that place, his place. So he had got that place also. He had all plans to settle in Vrindavan only. But Mahaprabhu wanted Navadip to be, the work should be done there, especially Yoga Pit was not yet known. So Mahaprabhu came in his dream and said, please do something about my dham. Don't try to settle here. So certainly then Bhaktivinoda Thakur left for Navadip also. In Navadip, he started preaching center in Surabhi Kunj. We have that song, Surabhi Kunjete, Namer Hat Kuleche, Khodo Nithai. Nityam Prabhu started Namer Hut, the marketplace of holy name. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur started his first preaching center in Surabhi Kunj area only. When he wanted to get out of the government job, British job, they asked, why do you want to do that? Is it because it's far and all? Krishnanagar is far from here, Surabhi Kunj. So I want to, all that kind of thing. So when he had difficulty, they said, for you, we'll put a separate line only, railway line. What they call? Small gauge. Not narrow gauge. Okay, narrow gauge. So what our normal train is broad gauge. So this is narrow gauge. So for him, how many of you seen train? And this was years before. Now they have removed it. So we used to see the train also coming. We have seen 3 bogies in the old train. I think the same train which he must have sat. No other train. So British led complete different separate track of 25 kilometers, Krishnanagar to Surabhi, exclusively for one person. Can imagine. And British will not do such kind of thing for Indians particularly. But he was so much required, wanted by them, they were ready. So that was the qualification of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. One night when he was sleeping in 1888, there in Surabhi Kunj, in the Sanan Sukhat Kunj. So on the northern side of the Ganges, he saw a very bright light. And then he asked his servant, do you see that? So the servant said, I don't see that. But then he asked his son, Bimla Prasad, do you see? He said, yes, Baba, I see a bright light coming. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur then found out, and then he understood that is birthplace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, but he wanted to find out also properly with proper sources, authentic sources, because tomorrow there could be objection. Now also anyway, there is some another Yogpit, Srivasanga and Advait Bhavan on the other side in Navadip Dham, in Navadip area, the other side of the Ganges on the western bank. But this was the one, according to the study research done by Thakur Bhakti Vinod. That time, it seems the Mayapur had become famous by the name Miyapur. There were so many Muslims there. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur had little difficulty to find out which exactly is the birthplace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But because he was government officer, he district magistrate, he found out all the maps. He did intense research, and then he found out that particular spot which he thought could be Yogpit, birthplace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he went there and met the owner there. So the owner was a Muslim, and he inquired from him. Then he came to know here, no matter whatever you put seeds, only tulsi only grows here, and profusely he saw also huge garden of tulsi. So then he got one more clue. Wherever Lord is, Tulsi will grow. So that is okay. But this is still not, this is devotional, but not yet other authority. So then he called ultimately for Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. Called means Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was around 120 years old then. And he would be like, many times you have seen the photo, completely bent, eyelids completely covering. He cannot open his own eyelids like that. Some Bihari, his servant had to lift them up. Then he would see around, then he could see. And all the time, very lean and thin body. In one basket, Bihari would take him on his head and would take him to another place he wanted to. So then when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was calling Jagannath Das Babaji, sent an invitation. So then Bihari brought him from crossing Ganges this side and in Yogpit area, current Yogpit. Then he kept the basket down in that place. And Jagannath Babaji Maharaj is completely in bent position. So then Bihari lifted up his eyelids, and as he saw around that whole land filled with Tulsi Maharani, and he has divine vision, immediately he jumped high in the sky. Some say that he jumped some 15 feet high. God, Acharyas can do that. We cannot do that in our youthful days also, but Acharyas can do that. So then he jumped and he came and he started dancing there only on the land, saying, Yaito Nimaira Janmasthan. This is the birthplace of Lord Nimai. And that's it. This was enough for Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Final confirmation. And then he wanted to build land there. He purchased that land and he wanted to. That's why Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj is called Gaur Avir Bhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjanavya. He indicated, yes, this is the birthplace. Gaur Avir Bhava Bhumestvam, on this Bhumi. This is the place, Yogpit. That is Srila Jagannath Babaji Maharaj. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur took that land and then he wanted to build temple, but he wanted maximum people to get to render service. So he could have met some very few very influential people, and through them he could have built. But he wanted everybody to contribute only 1 rupee, not more. Some individuals could have given thousands of rupees, but he did not want that. So he would go house to house, door to door, personally begging, please sir, give 1 rupee for building temple at Yogpit. Like that. Some people did not know that he is Kedarnath Babu, the district magistrate and all that earlier. So they would drive him out, get out of here. Who are you? So then some others would tell you, know, who is he? Kedarnath Babu. Then they would be feeling bad. Oh, he has taken such a humble role. They would again call him and give him 1 rupee. They would want to give more. He would say, no, let maximum people get benefit. So give only 1 rupee. So here is life schedule is given, daily schedule. Lalit Prasad Thakur, in his notes on his father's life, describes the Thakur's daily schedule while he was staying in Jagannath Puri. He was never idle, being always engaged in the service of the Lord. Between 7:30 and 8 p.m., he would go to bed. So you'll feel, oh, must be taking so many hours of rest. He would then rise just before 10 p.m., not 10 a.m., 10 p.m., hardly 2.5 hours sleep. Light his oil lamp and write books until 4 a.m. Imagine 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., 6 hours every day. That's how he could write more than 100 books. If you want to write some books, you can also follow. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was in Grihastha ashram. So Grihasthas can try to make him, to whatever degree possible, role model in their life. If they could. As a brahmachari, I cannot. 10 o'clock we'll feel, it's not even midnight. Now let midnight come. Then we will get up after quite many hours later. But he would get up at 10 o'clock until 4 o'clock, 6 hours. And we see Prabhupada's lifestyle as well as food habits and all were quite close to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's. You can see Prabhupada also. Prabhupada would sleep at around 10 o'clock, get up at 1 o'clock. But something similar. Then he would again rest for a maximum of half an hour after 4 a.m. So 4 to 4:30, some rest. He would wash his hands and face, sit down and chant on his beads. He never showed his beads to anyone, but would chant on them constantly as time permitted. At 7 a.m., he answered all correspondence. So they would get lot of letters, lot of questions, people asking and other thing. Bhakti Thakur would get daily bullock cart filled notes, letters. This was his score. So much so that from Kolkata to operate post office is very, very difficult. So there only in Navadvip, only in Mayapur only, they arrange post office only for him, because so many letters would come. So you can see how he's a pakka follower of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. At 7:30 a.m., he read various religious and philosophical works. At 8:30 a.m., he received visitors, if any. Some visitors have come to meet, so he would meet, or else continued to read until 9:30. At that time, he would walk back and forth on the veranda of his house, contemplating different religious questions and solving them in his mind. Sometimes he would solve them aloud as if preaching to some unseen guest. He would rest briefly from 9:30 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. If we sleep after only 2 hours sleep in the night, 9:30, I will not get up till 3 p.m. So then take bath and breakfast, which usually consisted of half quart of milk, 2 chapatis, and some fruit. Very specific. At 9:55 a.m., the Thakur would don his uniform and leave for court in his carriage. As a magistrate, he wore a coat and pants. On his neck were 6 strands of large tulsi beads. He was resolute in his court decisions and would decide a case immediately, not tolerating any humbug. He did his business and left. He shaved his head monthly and never cared what anyone thought of it. He's such a big post, district magistrate, and that in British government. Shaved head every month, not caring. So our grahasthas can also think of shaved head, at least small hair, and shikha. That is very important. Recently, I was giving Vanaprastha class in Pune. We have around 60 plus members who are Vanaprasthas. Vanaprasthas means we don't have any arrangement for them in temple. They're staying around temple and they render many services. So I was telling them, I gave them some 5 goals. So one of them was this: if possible, shaved head and have shikha, then kantimala. 24 hours wearing only dhoti kurta. I told them, see, now likely the last few years are remaining. They're all 60 plus, most of them. So you have to prepare so for departure, and for that reason, dhoti kurta is very important. How long you'll go on wearing shirt pant? That is not required. Your duties are fulfilled in life, and your children are there, grown up. They are taking household responsibility. You should not worry about it. So have 24 hours tilak on your forehead, and also dhoti kurta on your body. So I gave them some 5 goals so that they will have something to look forward to. Otherwise, we will think this is it. So always there should be somebody in our life who tells us, how to improve, how to go ahead. This is not it. There is more. The lawyers and Englishmen were astonished by the Thakur's capacity for work. At 10 a.m. court began. He would hear between 30 and 50 cases per day. Yet he finished by 1 p.m. What took other magistrates 1/2 hour, he finished in 5 minutes. He took another 2 minutes to write the judgment in detail. Some of his British superiors became envious and tried to discourage him, but he was not affected. At 1 p.m., he went home, refreshed himself, and then returned to work from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Every evening after his court duties, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would translate some Sanskrit religious work into Bengali by dictating it to a secretary. Then there was an evening bath and meal consisting of a little rice, 2 chapatis, and another half quart of milk. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur worked with a pocket watch so that everything he did was on schedule. I was wondering, I was very happy. I have this. Anyway, there is another detail also. It's a broken also, but we have this wristwatch. So I was very happy to read that Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We are following Bhaktivinoda Thakur as far as this goes. Not a big following, but anyway. So he did not wear a watch, but he had that pocket watch, and everything was on schedule. Despite his heavy domestic and official responsibilities, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's every moment was embellished with an intense desire to render service to the Lord. So very amazing. Having so many children. He writes in that book, Jedina Grahe, what is the beginning? Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu. So he says that when I come in the house, one son is playing kartal, another son is playing mridang, one is leading kirtan, one is doing worship, and several others, whatever the 14 minus, 13 minus. So they are all dancing there. He says, Jedina Grahe, Grahete Goloko Bhai. So bhajana dekhi. So when he enters in the house, as if entering in Golok Vrindavan only. So amazing. So first our Grahastha should have so many children first, and then they could be Kirtan party, full swing. So he had he was very amazing personality. His schedule we saw. So he hardly slept for 2.5 hours or so. That's all. He wrote Navadvip Parikrama book. That's how we have this. Nityam Prabhu gave tour to Jiva Goswami when Jiva Goswami came to Navadvip Dham. Nityam Prabhu was still present on planet, and he gave him the tour. And based on that only, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written this book, Navadvip Parikrama. How many have read Navadvip Parikrama? Only few. So our acharyas have written so many books. We all have to make some master plan that before I breathe my last, I should have read at least whatever 200-300 books. Whatever. First, Prabhupada's books, all books. Prabhupada said all must read all my books. How many have read all books of Prabhupada? Prabhu is there. There is one. So we have to make a plan. Make a plan. This month I will read Easy Journey to Other Planets. Next month, decide number of pages per day. So many pages. So then this book could be completed in 8 days, 10 days, something like that. Make a solid plan and work it out. Work hard to achieve that goal. Then that way all books could be read. Otherwise, we may not even know what our founder Acharya have wanted us to do. What exactly was his stress emphasis was on. He established some 500 Namhattas, all over Bengal. He was very amazing personality, and he was leading them. He was guiding them. In 1895, he had written a book on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In 1896, he wrote this Life and Precepts of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he sent it to several places in the world and to McGill University and all that. In that book only, that prophecy was that very soon that powerful, empowered Acharya is going to appear, who will spread the message of Lord Chaitanya all over the world, and that unrestrictedly he will preach. So that prediction was about Srila Prabhupada only. Nityam Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also has made such prediction that Mora Senapati Bhakta. So he will come. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur made this statement, particularly in 1896, and in that book only, Prabhupada's forthcoming appearance was written. He accepted Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj as his Shiksha Guru. He in 1900 got Bhakti Kuti in Jagannath Puri. Our ISKCON temple is there only. How many have visited Jagannath Puri ISKCON temple? So that is Bhakti Kuti only, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur got in 1900. In 1908, okay, then last 4 years, Bhaktivinoda Thakur left body in 1914. So 1910 to 1914, for 4 years, he was in Babaji Vairagya. He had taken Babaji initiation. He got the clothes of Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, and he requested Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, please give me Babaji initiation. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, very transcendental personality. So he said, no, I am not qualified. And he was avoiding only. So in one point of time, I think 1908 or so, the too much request was coming from Bhaktivinoda Thakur to Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj. So Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj was not ready only. So Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj, when he saw too much of follow, then he started running away from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, having the clothes in hand, he is running, please, Babaji Maharaj, please give me Babaji Diksha. And Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj running. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is chasing after him. So one point of time, at one corner, Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj entered in prostitute's house only. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur came and he could not see, then he was wondering where. And because prostitute's house was there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur could, in the wildest of the dreams, could not imagine Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj might have entered there. Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj, very transcendental. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, not finding him, then he went back then. He was wondering where is he gone. Then Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj, he came out and he was laughing, smiling. He said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur could not catch me. Like that. But then ultimately Bhaktivinoda Thakur requested him, and then Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj did give him the clothes of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Babaji clothes, and he wore them. For last 4 years, he was in deep bhajan, very deep bhajan. You have visited Godrum Dweep, I think, Swananda Sukhat Kunj. So as we climb up on the first floor, where the room of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is there. So there is one small, as soon as we reach the floor, Left side there is one small area. Now they have made a cupboard there, but earlier it would be open. So in that place, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would sit and cover his head with the blanket, and he would chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He would chant for several hours like that, covered with blanket, because that is one of his recommendation, that one should chant in seclusion. So this is way, but we may not be able to follow that. We'll sleep maybe. So we should be careful. But sometimes, if possible, we could think of. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, if you read this book, those who have read, they know how many times he was sick. Very strikingly, you can observe that several times he would fall sick. So many varieties of diseases like that. So our acharyas have shown through their life. Lord uses them also to teach us how one should not deter in his life just because of such kind of things, physical health, etc. issues. So he would several times, because of sickness, had to consult doctors. And the doctors, the way they are, especially allopathic medicine. So one time he had one disease, an eye problem. There was some vision problem. So when he went to allopathic doctor, the doctor told him, you eat fish head of the fish you eat. So by that your vision will become clear. But because Bhaktivinoda Thakur had true spiritual vision, he felt this is third class. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur recommends only Ayurvedic medicines and not allopathic medicine. Our Acharya's recommendation, I'm telling you all, it is your choice, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur recommends only Ayurvedic medicines and not allopathy. He also says a Brahman or Vaishnav must take 3 baths per day. That is very good. He said that out of one who gives Harinam Diksha and Brahman Diksha, one who gives Harinam Diksha is very important. He is our Diksha Guru. Sometimes after receiving first Diksha, Harinam initiation, devotee may, the spiritual master may give up body. Sometimes it may happen for some individuals that their spiritual master is no more now because he left body. So now they may have to take second initiation, but from some other guru. But in that, the one who has given first initiation, he is the guru. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he is the most important. He's very important. Other one can be Shiksha Guru, but he's. Then he also says, Pratishtha goes only to one who is running away from it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So many times, because of the influence of Maya, we want some Pratishtha. Puja Labha Pratishtha. Shokarera Vishtha. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also says that what he says, Jiva Himsan. But beginning is so he says basically when we are cultivating this Bhakti Lata in our life and we are watering it through Shravanam and Kirtanam, many weeds also grow, which appear like Lata only, but they are not the thing. So he says that Kutinati Jiva Himsan, Nishiddhachar, Puja Labha Pratisthadi, Yat Upashakha Gan, like that. So all these problems are there. So they should be uprooted, these weeds. Particularly Pratishtha, he says, goes to one who is running away from it. That's why devotee should be very humble. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very humble, so he got a lot of Pratishtha. Goal is not to get Pratishtha, but it will automatically follow. He also recommends Sadhu Sange Harinam. Always chant holy name, but in the association of devotees. That is very important. Naam Guru hi Shiksha Diksha Guru hai. He personally trained Bhaktivinoda Thakur, awarded him the entire scriptural instruction, but told to accept Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj as his Guru. So we have heard about how Bhaktivinoda Thakur received initiation from Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. Though Bhaktivinoda Thakur was qualified enough, he did not feel like giving initiation to his own son. So he told him, you take from somebody else. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur took from Gaur Kishodas Babaji Maharaj. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written several books. That list is also there, I think, in this. In that, like Jaiva Dharma is there. Then Datta Kaustubh connects his Vamsha with Narottam Das Thakur. Chaitanya Shikshamrit, Amnaya Sutra, Sri Krishna Samhita, Navadvip Parikrama, Harinam Chintamani, Bhajan Rahasya, Dashamula Shiksha. Somewhere here, year-wise, which year, which book he wrote, that description is also there. but I cannot read all because there are more than 100 books he wrote. But just to give you a glimpse of what it is like, the literary works of Thakur Bhakti Vinod from 1838 to 1914 till his last moment. So first 1849, that means he's 11 years old. Ula Chandi Mahatmya, Bengali verses about the glories of the Ula Chandi deity of Birnagar. 1850, Hari Katha, topics of Lord Hari, a poem in Bengali. 1850, Lila Kirtan, glorification of the Lord's pastimes, a poem in Bengali. 1851, Shumbha Nishumbha Yuddha, that two demons who could not be killed by any other means except by one another only. Then 1855, contributions of articles to various periodicals and magazines commenced from this year. 1857, Poriad, part 1 and then part 2. Mutts of Orissa, 1860. 1863, Vijayanagram, the deserted village. 1863, Sannyasi book. 1863 again, Our Wants, English prose. 1866, Ballad Registry. 1866, Speech of Gautam. Then 1868, Satchidananda Premalankar. 1869, the Bhagavat, its philosophy, its ethics, and its theology. 1870, Garbha Stotra Vyakhya or Sambandha Tattva Chandrika. 1871, Reflections. 1871, Thakur Haridas. 71 again, the Temple of Jagannath Puri. The next is the Akhadas in Puri. Again, 1871, the Personality of Godhead, English prose. 1861, Saragrahi. 1871, A Beacon Light. 1871, To Love God. 1871, the Atibaris of Orissa. Now I'll just read not the year, only the books. The Marriage System of Bengal. Vedanta Dhikaran Mala. Datta Kaustubham. Datta Vamshamala. Bauddha Vijay Kavyam. Shri Krishna Samhita. Kalyana Kalpataru. Sajjan Toshani. Review of the Sanskrit book Nitya Rupa Samsthapanam. Vishwa Vaishnava Kalpatavi. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Song of God. Shri Chaitanya Shikshamrit. Sanmodan Bhashyam. Bhajan Darpan Bhashya. Dashopanishad Churanika. Names also we cannot understand, forget about what is inside. Bhavavali. Prema Pradipa. Shri Vishnu Sahasranam Stotram. Shri Krishna Vijay. Shri Chaitanya Upanishad. Vaishnav Siddhantamala. Amnaya Sutram. Shri Navadip Dham Mahatmya. Shri Navadip Dham Mahatmya. Then Siddhanta Darpanam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Shri Godrum Kalpatavi, Shri Harinam, Shri Nam Tattva Shikshastak, Shri Nam Mahima, Shri Nam Prachar, Shriman Mahaprabhu Shiksha, Tattva Vivek, Shoka Shatan, Sharanagati, Gitavali. Gitavali is also very famous. Gita Mala. Then Baula Sangita. That Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written 12 songs in Baula. Baula is one style, and Baula is also that one of the upper sampradayas. Baula basically comes from Sanskrit word Batul, which in Bangla will become Batul, Baula. Pagal ho gaya ye. When Vat increases in the body, person appears like a mad fellow. So Baula Geet is very famous in those days. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself wrote 12 songs about this Baula Sangeet. That one song we might have heard. Sare gaye makhila tilaka gaura milena. So this is one famous song that is there in Vaishnava songbook also. So even if you pour the whole Gopi Chandan on your head, on your body, you will not achieve Lord Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, because those fellows do some kind of things like that. He wrote his, he for all those 12 songs has given his name as Chand Baul. Just like many Bangla songs have Thakur Bhakti Vinod. Bhakti Vinoda Dekhe. Gaurara Sampada, everywhere Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but for those 12 songs, he presents himself as Chand Baul. He took the name as Chand Baul. Baula Sangeet, Dalalair Geet, Nam Bhajan, Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma is very powerful book. How many have read Jaiva Dharma? So very philosophical, very nice book. You may read it also afterwards. Tattva Sutram, Vedarka Diditi. तत्व मुक्तावली अमृत प्रवाह भाष्य हरिभक्ति कल्पलतिका षोडश ग्रंथ श्री गौरांग स्तव कल्पतरु मनः संतोषणी मुकुंद माला स्तोत्रम श्री लक्ष्मी चरित बाल कृष्ण सहस्त्रनाम श्रीमन महाप्रभु अष्टकालीय लीला स्मरण मंगल स्तोत्रम श्री गौरांग लीला स्मरण मंगल स्तोत्रम Shri Ramanuja Upadesh Artha Panchak Swalikhita Jivani. I was telling about this. 1896 he wrote this Swalikhita Jivani, autobiography, to his book, to his son, third son, Lalita Prasad, Brahma Samhita, and several other. I think the list is very long. More than 100 books he has written. So what can we, reading the list of his books only is taking so much time. How much time he must have taken to write them all. And very powerful. He wrote bhajan books like Kalyana Kalpataru and Sharanagati. Very nice songs are there. Sharanagati has how many aspects? 6. Anukulyasya Sankalpa, Pratikulyasya Varjanam, Rakshishati Iti Vishwa. So on each one also he has written one song. So we can get a better understanding of the concept of that. What is it basically? What does it mean by Rakshishati Iti Vishwaso or Pratikulyasya Varjanam? Very nicely he has written that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur would also like kachodi, pakoda, etc. Like Prabhupada also likes, no? Prabhupada in the childhood only would have so many kachoris. His grandmother he would eat kachoris and he would put in his pockets also. So he was also called as kachodi mukhi. His mouth is filled with kachodis. So that comes from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He made the prediction about Adbhut Mandir and then he also arranged for them. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very special Acharya. There are many other things also. Any question anyway? As such, you cannot ask about the activities of Acharya, but in case some clarification maybe. And another devotee also has spoken about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Any question? Yes. So. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has several teaching. Morning I was telling one. He says chanting is not lip deep, chanting is heart deep. So one should chant from the heart, not just moving lips. Lips should be moved, tongue should be moving. But apart from that, heart should be vibrating. From heart we should chant. Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna. Thank you
Hare.
very much for giving full details of.
No, full
Bhakti
details we cannot give only. There are so many more.
Yes, Prabhu. Every day we are reciting Mangalarcharan. Was it composed by Bhakti Vinod Thakur?
I have not heard like that. And what happens? This Vandeham Shri Guru is there. It is there in the 2nd and 3rd chapter of Ante Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So originally it is composed by him. That one, Vandeham. Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam, all that. So who has put all of them in the Mangala Charan? That I don't know.
But Jayarada Madhava is composed.
That is by him only. That is by him. That I already told. That morning we sing his song, Jayarada Madhava, afternoon Rajbhog Arti, and evening that Gaur Arti. They're all 3 by him only.
Okay.
As such, apart from that, there are so many other songs he has written. But we may sing at different times those songs.
Thank you.
Bhale Gaura Gada Dharer Aratiksha. We have Vaishnav songbook. We can see just the list of the books written by him. Somehow this is not working here. If you open Vaishnav songs, just the list of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs. Just to think of them, though we cannot sing, time is not there, but we'll understand what a contribution he has made. Anyway, here there are all are not there, but still just a glimpse of them. Jai Radha Madhav, Sharira Avidya Jal. The earlier part, Mahaprasade Govinda, that is Sanskrit verse, that is from Mahabharata. But afterwards, when we start singing Sharira Avidya Jal, it's a Bangla, that is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Ekadina Shantipure. How many of you know this song? It's a very nice song. As such, should be sung after Mahaprasade Govinda only, before Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya. we sing that. Eka dina shanti pure, Prabhu advaite raghare, doi Prabhu bhojane basilo. Index only. So I will not sing that song. Otherwise, devotees will immediately ask for prasad. The whole management will be against me. What did you sing? Everybody thought that prasadam will be served now. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chander Arati Ko Shobha. That is Gaurati. Amara Jivan Sada Pape Rata. Nahi ko Purne Relish. Ami Jamuna Puline. Kadamba Kanane. That is also nice song. Ek Arakeno Maya Jale. How many of you know this song? Arakene Maya Jale. Very nice song. Just few 3 lines only, 3 stanzas, but very nice. Gives so much meaning. Asalo Katha Bolte. Even I don't know. Then Atma Nivedana Tuapade is also nice. Bhaja Bhakata Vassala Shri Gaura Hari. This is Bhogarati. When Bhog is offered to Lord Krishna in the altar, the pujari is supposed to sing this song. Bhaja Bhakata Vassala Shri Gaura Hari. Shri Gaura Hari Sohi Goshta Bihari Nanda Yashomati Cheta Hari Bhaja Bhakata Sala Shri Gaura Hari. So this is a huge song. Or huge button. So that is to be sung. Very nice song it is. Then Bhajare Bhajare Amar. We'll have to see what it is. Bhale Gaura Gadadharer Arati. Then Bhuliya Tomare. Very nice song. Bolo Hari Bolo. Then Bodo Sukher Khabor Gai. Surabhi Kunjate Namer Hat Kuleche. Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bole. Nachre Amar Man. Durlabha Manava Janama. Labhiya Samsare. Ekhono Bhojino Prabhu. That one. Emono Durmati. Emono Durmati Samsara Bhitare. Padiyachi. How I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Samsar. Gaya Gaura Madhura Sware. That was nice. Gaya Gaura Chan Jiver Tore. Gopinath Mama Nivedana Shunai. The Gopinath only are 3 songs, each of 8 stanzas. So huge. Gurudev Krupa Bindu Diya. Then Gurudev Bodo Krupa Kori. Gurudev Vraja Vane Vraja Bhume Vasi Jane. Hari Hari Kabe Mor Hobe Heno Din. Hari Bolo Hari Bolo Hari Bolo Bhai Re. This is also a very nice song. Jai Jai Radha Krishna. Jugala Milana. Jiva Jago. Kabe Gauravane. Kabe Habe Bolo Se Dinamar. Kabe Habe Heno Dashamor. Kabe Mui Vaishnava Chinibo. Kabe Shri Chaitanya More Kori Bena Daya. Kali Kukura Kadana Jadi Chahoe. Keno Hare Krishna Nam Hari Bole. Keshav Tua Jagat Vichitra. Ki Jani Ki Bole. I think His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj would sing this. Very sweet Bangla. I don't know how to sing. Like ki jani ki bole. That is my ignorance. Don't know what is there. But Maharaj sings so sweetly. Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Krupa karo Vaishnava Thakur. Mama mana mandire. मानस देहोगे हो जो किछु मोर अर्पिलु तुआ पजे पदे नंद किशोर नदिया गोद्रो में नित्यानंद महाजन Narada Muni bajaye veena. Prabhupada has quoted this whole song as it is in Daksha's section, 4th canto, because Narad Muni I think comes there. So in that context, Prabhupada has put whole in the purport only. You can see that as it is. Nija karma doshe phale nitai naam hate oke jabire bhai. ओहे वैष्णव ठाकुर दयार सागर ओरे मन भालो लागे न ये संसार प्रभु तव पद जोगे मोर निवेदन प्रपंचे पोड़िया अगति राधा कृष्ण बोल बोल राधा कुंड तट कुंज कुटीर सर्वस्व तोमार चरणे संपिया श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु जीवे दया कोरी श्री कृष्ण कीर्तने जदि मानस तोहार शुद्ध भक्त चरण रेणु तुम्ही सर्वेश्वरेश्वरा व्रजेंद्र नंदन उदिलो अरुण पूरब भागे विभावरी शेष विद्यार विलासे काटाइनु काल यशोमती नंदन that Rajbhogati यदि ते हरि पद सरोज सुधा like that. So you can see how many songs, some of these songs we don't even know. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's contribution is enormous. We cannot imagine. So any other question? Bhaktivinoda Thakur desired to be at Kurukshetra assisting gopis than to be in any other place like Vrindavan, Mayapur, because he's Kamal Manjari after all. So he wanted that. There is one article here about, yes.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you very much for your class. You mentioned about Babaji initiation. Can you?
Not for us.
So how to
I get the
understand that,
answer.
Prabhuji?
You have to understand that Krishna from within his heart told him, please take Babaji initiation and tell all your followers not to take it. So it is not for us. Prabhupada did not recommend that to be Bhajananandi. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is great. He did see all of us in 10 lifetimes cannot accomplish what he accomplished in one only. And after that, just last 4 years, he was in that Babaji Vesh and in Bhakti Bhavan in Kolkata and all. He was in deep absorption. So it is not for us. In Prabhupada life only there was one disciple who was detected, so to say, with cancer. In 6 months he would be dying. So he was concerned that I will be dying, so better I just do full-scale devotional service. He wanted Babaji initiation. So when the matter was taken to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, no question. I don't give Babaji initiation. He can just continue devotional service. Then so much of pressure, so many devotees saying. So then Prabhupada reluctantly gave him Babaji Diksha. Only one disciple like that. And then after 6 months, he did not die only. There was the wrong diagnosis maybe, or whatever it was. So, but Prabhupada was not happy about giving Babaji initiation. Everything of the acharyas cannot be imitated also. Like best is if you want to imitate his schedule, daily schedule, rather than Babaji Vesh and all that, that you don't worry. Daily schedule we can try. This is something going to be fruitful and missionary also. Prabhupada has quoted Bhaktivinoda Thakur also in several places. Here he has this. I don't know whether to read this. Any question? Time is almost over anyway. Maybe one last question if anyone has. Yeah? Yes. But you all can read this book, at least today if possible. How many of you have access to this book? If you only have. No problem. Prabhupada, you can hear. Prabhupada, one of the most important. Prabhupada's purports, several places he quotes Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and his commentaries are there. Amrut Pravaha Bhashya, Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, several places. Similarly in Bhagavatam also. So if you read Prabhupada books, you get Bhaktivinoda Thakur anyhow. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji. Thank
Hare.
you so much, Prabhuji. You might have addressed this question, Prabhuji. Today, on this auspicious day, what should be our prayers, Prabhuji?
That may we be able to follow in your footsteps in some small way. We could also take some inspiration from his life, something, or at least read Prabhupada books which are in line with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's message and books. So that would be also fine, like that. We can sing his songs today, isn't it? Many of you know these songs, at least the ones which you know, the few ones, you could sing them. They're very nice. I can try to learn the meaning. It's a very powerful song. All the Vedas put together, like Bhagavata is schooling, Bhagavatam is graduation, Chaitanya Charitamrita is post-graduation, and this is doctorate. Vaishnava songs. Vaishnava songs are doctorate, PhD. So we can sing one line or even one word of Vaishnava songs is like thousands of scriptures put together. Very powerful. Okay. Any other? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
We see his schedule is very tight, and at the same time, he has so many children, and they are very Krishna conscious as well. So, how come that was possible?
You have to go to Golok Vrindavan and ask Kamal Manjari, how did you accomplish it all? But sometimes early stages, first few children are trained and wife is there. Bhagavati Devi is not an ordinary lady at all. She was the one, that was her last desire. It's a final desire. And while leaving body, she told her son, Bimla Prasad, that you please ensure that Mahaprabhu's statement that Prithvi te acheta nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoive morana, that in every nook and corner of the world, holy name of Lord Gauranga will spread. You please make sure, take this as your life's mission, that you will make this happen. Because so many years, whatever, 200-300 years passed by, that was not happening. So she desired that you make Gauranga's Vani come true. And that's why Bhakti Thakur, not just Prabhupada he met and said, every new person he would meet, youngster, he would tell him the same thing. Why don't you preach message of Lord Chaitanya in English language all over the world? So he would say that to several others also. But Prabhupada was the one who really took it up, and that's how it spread also. So wife has important role to raise the children. The wife is at home, not a working lady, and then she can contribute so much to children. She can make each son very powerful, each son and daughter. They will be beacon light. And certainly wife derives inspiration from husband. So when the wife is taking nice care of children, husband doesn't have to worry so much, though he also contributed. Devotional practices he had. So many places are there where he's, if you know the interactions, like when Babaji came to a house, some sadhu, so everybody bowed down, family members, but Bimla Prasad did not bow down. So then that sadhu felt little hurt and he asked Bhaktivinoda Thakur, why your son does not bend down? He said he doesn't like any humbug, any hodgepodge. He will not bend to Sahajiyas and Mayavadis and all. So then that fellow understood he is not in line, proper line. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur also trained Bimla Prasad in some aspects of life. So when wife is taking nice responsibility, husband can accomplish so many other things also. Not that he neglects children, but he does so many other things also. Okay, then we'll end here. श्री भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर की जय, श्री भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर तिरुभाव दिन महामहोत्सव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद।
Hare Krishna. We are very grateful to His Grace SundarShyam Prabhu. Prabhuji gave almost 3-4 days. We had nice the whole Rath Yatra discussion in the evenings so that we can be prepared for the Tuesday Rath Yatra also. And at the same time, mornings we had Bhagavatam and today Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance day. Let us express our gratitude and request Prabhuji again to keep coming and give us his valuable association by chanting Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji.